Hi, this is Robert Reiss on the CEO Forum, and we're here today with Marc Kidd. How are you, Marc?
I'm great, thank you.
And Marc is the CEO of Captivate. Now, for all of you CEOs there, think about this. They have 100% of their market share. And this is mostly anytime you go in an elevator, they own those elevator screens and all of the advertising that goes there. And it's a unique way to reach markets that people really, I had not thought about as much. Talk about what the Captivate model is.
Well, the Captivate model is to be able to bring news and information and insights to working professionals that adds some value to their day. And it's really about curated content. Advertising is what people know about us, but it's the content that makes a difference in someone's life.
So what is the content you use?
Today we use news, information. We spend a lot of time talking to tenants and to viewers about what it is they're interested in. So we've got a whole editorial calendar that we create. We're sensitive to the time of year and the type of information, and we tailor that to the individual market and the advertising to the individual building.
So let's say New York City, where in full disclosure we're doing this interview, you have 55% of the office buildings, which is huge. I've been in those elevators, I've seen it, but I never understood how it works. So do you have the same material in every single building? Do you do different? How do you determine what goes where?
Yeah, so today what we do is we produce the content, the news and information specific to the market. The advertising can actually be targeted to the specific building. So each building has its own unique playlist that gets created every day by algorithms in our computers on site. So we have a server in Chelmsford, and we transfer that data over the internet to the individual buildings, and then we can focus the message to the longitude of the building, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. So let's talk through. You have two groups of people who you do business with.
That's right.
So first let's talk the advertising group. And I know major companies, Amazon, IBM are involved in their advertising there. Talk, what is the value proposition to those companies?
Today, the value proposition is we reach a TV-like viewing audience at work where they're spending more time transacting and living their lives. And so it's a very captive audience. You have a chance to be in the elevator with fellow CEOs, with marketing professionals, with business professionals, and we can get really specific and target the advertising message to the longitude of the building based on the type of companies that are located there. So in the case of Amazon, if they're trying to reach a specific demographic or a specific customer set, let's say they want to reach millennials and they want to reach only millennials in tech buildings, we can target just millennials in tech buildings.
How do you know that there are millennials in tech? How do you even know?
Research. We have tons and tons of research. We know who 80 to 90% of all of our tenants are. We know who's headquartered in our buildings. We have a product called Office Pulse where we talk to members of the buildings every single month to get insights for them, and we're Nielsen rated. So we're also included in MRI and Scarborough. So we take, nothing we do is done casually and without attribution. We're able to tie back absolutely to the people we're reaching. We've got the research and all the information to go.
Okay, but it's a short time. I know some New York elevators are pretty slow, unfortunately, and sometimes they have to go up 55 floors, so you have someone for a while. But a lot of times they're very short. Is that bad? Are you not able to capture people with that? Or?
Actually, our whole programming model is around 15 seconds. So we change the content every 15 seconds. And in the next year, we're going to go to a model that'll be probably closer to 6 seconds. Really? So we are trying to get a lot of information to somebody in a short period of time. But look, there's so much talk today about self-driving cars, and everyone's all excited about what that means. But what people forget is the very first self-driving car was an elevator. Back when elevators were introduced into buildings.
Done.
Yes, they're the first and only, and you will remember in those days there was an attendant in all of the elevators, and it was a dangerous, scary thing to get in an elevator. And what the founders of this company recognized and understood is that elevators are awkward social space. And if you have nothing to do in the elevator, you will look at your navel or at your feet. And they decided and understood that if there was something for them to focus on in the building, people would immediately look to it. Our research says 95% of everybody that gets in an elevator looks at the screen, and 90% watch it. And then people always say to me, but aren't you scared to death of cell phones? And I'm like, not at all. I mean, all the information you want is at the end of your arm with a cell phone, right? But when you get into an elevator, it doesn't work. The elevators are moving vaults because of the way they're constructed, and modern buildings are built with construction techniques that make it almost impenetrable. Now, you can get cell signals in some if there's a communication spine, but for us, we actually work with cell companies to build a mobile network, and we retarget those customers in our building so that we can use the screens on the elevator, screens in the lobbies, and then we retarget on their mobile devices. And that has been very, very effective for us.
This is Robert Reiss on the CEO Forum, where we speak with the CEOs who have reinvented the fabric of America. We're here today with Marc Kidd, who is the CEO of Captivate, 100% of the U.S. elevator market, and you've got like 10,000 screens.
We do.
So now let's talk the other side of the equation, which are the real estate companies.
They are our first customers. The real estate community has allowed us to be in business, and really we focus on them and what they're trying to do with
And you probably work with the Office Pulse with them.
Well, Office
to
Pulse
add additional value to their building.
It doesn't.
And if someone has a slow elevator, it's no longer a problem because someone isn't twiddling their thumbs. Now they're looking at content.
Well, what the research says, and we've got about 15 years of body of research of testing this, but if you're in a Captivate building, you have higher customer satisfaction levels. Tenants are happier in a Captivate.
Wait. Have you done actual research, or is this just
No. We've done the research, and what it shows you is that Captivate.
How much higher?
Well,
I know it differs for every building.
It's about, on average, it's about 40% higher, right?
40% higher.
People that are in Captivate buildings say they have a higher customer satisfaction level than if they're not in a Captivate building. And I'll give you a great story, right? When I came and was approached to do this, my very first reaction was, who cares about elevator advertising, and why would anyone pay attention? And so I said no. And I was in a discussion with my son, who at the time was 27, was living in Chicago, and I explained to him that I'd been approached about an opportunity with an elevator company or an elevator media company to be the CEO. And unprompted, he says, well, Dad, are you talking about Captivate? I said, how do you know the name?
Right.
He said, it's in my building. It's been in the 2 buildings that I've been in Chicago. What do you think about it? I like it. Why? Well, it gives me something that I didn't know about it. There's always a tidbit that I can use in my daily life. Name 5 advertisers. He could. All of a sudden, I'm like, well, maybe I should pay attention to this thing. Because if a 27-year-old in a market like Chicago with all the other things to do knew the brand, then I thought there was really something here. And when I started looking at it, because remember, I had been in the media business for almost 30 years before I took this job. I had worked in college sports. I had worked for a production company that was the largest television production company for ESPN. And what I discovered when I started looking at Captivate is they reach more people in the daytime than we ever reached on any of our shows in primetime. And when I started looking at how would you reach working professionals, how would you reach CEOs? Well, you would naturally go after Fox News, CNN, you might look at CNBC, but when you looked at the aggregate numbers, they're not very big. And Captivate reaches over 12 million people, and we reach 2.5 million people every single day. In my mind, this was a television network in office buildings. And when I started looking at buying consumptions, what I found was more people were making purchases online between 9 and 5 than there were between 5 and 9. More people are awake in the time that they're at the office building than they are when they're at home. So my view was that this was a fabulous opportunity to reinvent the messaging, the branding, and then work with companies to super target, because we can get down to the specific building. If you want to reach a particular CEO or a C-suite or an individual business segment, we can do that to the longitude of the building. And I think that's pretty remarkable today.
30 seconds left before a commercial break. Your website is?
Website is Captivate.com.
That's easy. And one sentence, the real value to a CEO of becoming involved with Captivate.
Oh, people will see your advertising and you'll be able to have a relationship that's meaningful and impactful.
And there you go. You're thinking about real-time advertising in the elevator, and everything is customized. a really fascinating model I had not considered prior to this. You're going to hear more, and you're also going to hear something unique about his dad after the break, who is in the College Football Hall of Fame, one of the most iconic people around. Back in a few. Hi, this is Robert Reiss on the CEO Forum, where we speak with the CEOs who've reinvented the fabric of America. We are here today with Marc Kidd, who is the CEO of Captivate, which has 100% of the elevator market share. That's over 10,000 screens in America. You mentioned Chicago, 65% of the buildings there. Let's start off, talk about in 2013 when you took over. What were the challenges you were facing and how did you overcome them?
The biggest challenge we were facing was to create a sense of urgency and to change the culture. Captivate had been part of a big public company. It hadn't really had a great deal of attention. I remember talking to the officer at the company that was responsible for it. They had had the company for about 9 years, and I said, "How many times have you been to the headquarters?" And he said 3. And I thought,
so what did you do to change the culture? Just couple of sentences.
Well, what we did to change the culture was we focused on the people. We told them and laid out a vision for them. We said growing companies create opportunities for upward mobility. We put forth an operating plan on what we were going to do with simple, straightforward, easy to follow instructions. And then we showed them that we were serious about this. And we put a comp plan in place that rewarded and shared the profits. And that made a difference.
That's the difference. That's what drives people.
So we changed the comp structure for our salespeople. We explained that we make revenue off of our relationships with the real estate community and off of the advertising marketplace, and we organized the whole company in support of those businesses.
And how does bringing life to work come into play with that?
Well, our observations from Office Pulse research and looking at things was that in the United States of America, there's a consolidation of working professionals and millennials in particular in urban markets versus suburban markets. I had previously worked at the Outdoor Channel where we focused on B, C, and D county men as a marketing opportunity for CEOs and for brands. When I came to this company, what I found was we have a millennial audience. Average age is about 35. 2.5 million every single day. Average household income is 100,000. We had a very, very attractive audience that wasn't really being tapped into. And the trick for us was how do we take content and how do we take the messaging that companies wanted to connect with this customer base and bring them together. And that's really what we focused on.
Now I'm going to do some quick spotlight questions. So these are going to be fast answers. Like in one phrase, how would you codify your leadership philosophy?
My leadership philosophy is really to empower the employee base, and we focused hard on diversity and on a millennial audience here because we felt like they were the future of the company. And so we've worked hard to focus on their individual brands inside of the Captivate brand.
What are the keys to successful customer experience? And I'm asking you this because you're saying tenants in Captivate buildings have a 40% higher customer experience.
Well, I mean, when I came in, I went and met with every single one of our customers on the ad sales side. And what I found was they weren't happy with the sales force. And the first thing you have to do is listen. And so we instill in our sales force not to waste people's time, listen to what they need, and only deliver if we're capable of doing that. Captivate's not for everybody. But for those people that it does make sense for, we work really, really hard because we want to have a marriage. We don't want to date you. We want to marry you, and we want to be in business with you for 10, 15 years. And that's really the objective here, is to create an institutional relationship between Captivate and the companies we do business with. We want to do that for a long, long, long time. And for those customers, we do extra things that we wouldn't do for somebody that just comes in and does, a one-time buy.
If you had a mulligan in life, something you could do over, what would that be?
Well, the one thing I learned, because this was the first time that I had been CEO, I would have come into this business with a more complete team. I came in by myself, and therefore I needed to really understand and make quick judgments on what people we could keep and not keep. And at the time I came in, I knew the things that I was not good at. And so I did recruit people in that could complement me. But if I had had all those people when I came in on day one versus having assembled the team over what took probably 6 months to a year, I think would have been further ahead in the process. So that's one thing that I would have done differently for sure.
And tying into that, if there was a challenge you had in life or work or personal life that you overcame and learned a lesson from, what would that be?
Well, never give up. I mean, persistence. I mean, I learned from watching my dad on the football field coach his players that when the thing I like about sports and business in general is that you get knocked down and you can never doubt yourself and you can never, ever give up. You have to continue to stay true to what you believe in and to your values. And if you do that, good things will happen. So that's what we try to do here.
I want to ask you about technology, because obviously you've been advanced technology with extremely advanced algorithms of how you determine exactly how to reach different customers in different buildings with different messages over short time frames, which have gone from 15 seconds, I understand, down to 6 seconds. But what would you say over the past year is the most profound technology breakthrough you've seen in the world?
I think the most profound that I've seen is voice. So things like Alexa and Siri really coming into mainstream. I think over the next probably 5 years, you're going to see that happen a lot. And I can see the day where you'll come into a room and you'll ask, hey Alexa, or hey Robert, can you do this for me? And you'll have devices and artificial intelligence that will do that. So I think it's going to come into everybody's business at a certain level. I can see you coming into office buildings and instead of having a directory that you touch, you'll be able to ask the directory and it'll give you back the information that you seek. We're experimenting with facial recognition, we're experimenting with voice, we're experimenting with all types of things just to get more understanding of the audience and what they do inside of office buildings, and so that we can help marketers who want to reach this audience be able to do it in a way that's meaningful and impactful and makes a difference in their business.
You've about 2 minutes left. Let's talk about someone really impactful to you.
Yeah.
Your dad. So your dad, one of the most iconic people, College Football Hall of Fame, is over 700% in winning over like 38, 39 years. Has a stadium named after him. You have 2 minutes left. Talk about your dad, the influence he was to you, and what you've really learned from him.
Yeah, you know, my dad, I grew up on a college campus. I learned about life on a football field and in locker rooms. And I remember having distinct conversations with them. One in particular was, it was a blustery day. It was going to be cold and rainy. And I said to him, what are you going to do with the flip of the coin and the weather conditions? And he said, you know, Mark, I don't worry about stuff like that. All I worry about is what we can control. We focus on what we can control. We can't control the weather. We can't control other things, but we can control and react to what happens. And that made an impact on me. I think the other thing that he taught me was that you don't treat everyone the same, but you treat everyone fairly. Because we would get into discussions about how do you treat a running back who's a superstar versus someone that may just be a blocking and tackling person. What are the things that you do to motivate them? And I think he taught me that you have to understand what it is that makes somebody tick. Some people you have to love and hug. Others you have to hit and punch and push. And you have to understand that nuance when you're working with people. And you've got to create an environment of accountability and also celebrate your successes. And probably the most simplest thing that he taught me was every day when practice starts, the first thing they do is they go out and they do the center quarterback exchange. From the very first practice in the spring to the very last practice in the fall. And I would say to him, why did you do that? He said, if you can't get the center quarterback exchange, you can't get anything done. So you always stay focused on the fundamentals and everything else will start to take care of themselves.
And on that inspirational note, it's a pleasure having you on the CEO Forum.
It's great to be here, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much.